Hello friends, good afternoon. Am I audible and visible, guys? Yes friends, good afternoon. Am I audible and visible? Yes, somebody please ping me so that I can begin with today's session. Yes, good afternoon Pawanji. Yes guys, somebody please ping me so that I can begin with today's session. Okay guys, thanks Pawan. Okay, Namaskar Doraemon. So guys, let's begin with important Peasant movements. Today's topic, very important one again, because here we are going to discuss about the important Peasant movements like Indigo Agitation of Bengal, Champaran Satyagraha, the first Satyagraha of M.K. Gandhi in India. We are going to discuss Bardoli Satyagraha, Kheda Satyagraha, Eka movement, and so on. Today's session again won't be much longer. It would be a 45 minutes to 1 hour session maximum. Okay, but it is an important session. For the students who are new to the platform, let me inform you one thing. Guys, many of you have a question that where to download the PDF of the session from. One can download the PDF of the session from the Telegram channel, that is history_Alok Oja. Okay, so guys, without wasting any more time, let's begin with today's session. Important Peasant movements. Now guys, before I start with important Peasant movements, let me tell you one important concept. And that concept in the books of history is referred as drain of wealth. The concept of drain of wealth was given for the first time by Dadabhai Navroji in his book referred as Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. So let me explain you this concept in short so that in the future coming sessions or particularly saying, here we are going to understand key concept of drain of wealth so that we can correlate important events and things. Okay, now when Britishers came into India, they forced our peasants to cultivate commercial crops. Now, broadly classifying the agriculture, it is majorly classified into two major categories: commercialized agriculture and subsistence agriculture. In subsistence agriculture, I will cultivate only those crops which are important for sustaining my livelihood, like pulses, wheat, rice, and so on. But as the name suggests, commercialized agriculture, I will cultivate those crops which are high in demand in the national as well as international market. Tobacco, poppy, opium, sugarcane, cotton, indigo, these are commercial crops. Okay, now let me explain you one important concept, and before explaining this concept, let me tell you a statement by John Sullivan, and that statement goes like, our system acts very much like a sponge, drawing up all the good waters from the bank of river Ganges and squeezing them down on the bank of river Thames. I repeat the statement of John Sullivan, and the statement is, our system acts very much like a sponge, drawing up all the good waters from the bank of river Ganges and squeezing them down on the bank of river Thames. Now what this concept is all about, let's explore. When Britishers came, they forced our peasants to cultivate cotton. Suppose I am a peasant. Now Britishers have told me that cultivate cotton for us and we will give you ₹5 for cultivation of cotton before the harvest of the crop. Now the crop is ready for the harvest. And now Britishers are saying me that if you have to sell this crop at a petty price or of ₹1 or 2, you can sell it. Otherwise keep it. Now, at that time, India did not had much major capital intensive industries. So I was forced to sell this crop at a petty price of rupees 1 or 2. Now, this cotton will go to Manchester or Liverpool. From there, it will go to London. And here it is converted into a manufactured textile. Okay. The fine quality manufactured textile, it was being exported to USA. Whereas the inferior, cheap, substandard quality textile came to India. And in that case, its cost was approximately around 10 rupees. The market for raw material was India. The market for finished product or the final good was India. Correct? Can you analyze one thing? In a very methodological manner, in a very systematic fashion, India's resources are being drained out of India. Correct? And this was highlighted for the first time by Dadabhai Navroji in his book referred as Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. Correct? This was also further highlighted by R.C. Dutt in his book Economic History of India. So, I'll go back to the statement. Our system acts very much like a sponge. I pick up a sponge, I dip that sponge in the Ganges River, I take the sponge to the Thames River, which is the river of London, and I squeeze the sponge. Simple words, I take all the good resources from India and drive it towards Britain. This is nothing but drain of wealth. Correct? So our system acts very much like a sponge, drawing up all the good waters from the bank of river Ganges and squeezing them down on the bank of river Thames. It simply highlights drain of wealth theory. Now, why did I tell you this theory? Because the important peasant movements are also based on commercialized agriculture. Okay, so let's explore further. Yes, Nivedita, good afternoon. Abhi, good afternoon. Kaizen, good afternoon. Now let's understand the different movements. Let's begin with the Indigo agitation of Bengal. Indigo revolt. Indigo agitation of Bengal, it's a very important one, and I'll tell you what question has been asked in UPSC prelims examination. The question in the UPSC prelims examination was like, specifically, Neel Darpan, a play, it is related to which movement? So it is related to Indigo agitation of Bengal. So what is Indigo agitation of Bengal all about? Let's explore. Indigo agitation of Bengal took place immediately after revolt of 1857. And indigo, it's a commercial crop used as a dye. Correct? It is believed that like initially prior to indigo, the crop of mustard family was used as a dye to improve the shelf life of the cotton textile. But later on, indigo was used as a dye. It is also referred as blue gold. And now, indigo can only be cultivated in subtropical and tropical countries. And India is one among them. Now, Britishers came in India and they forced our peasants to cultivate indigo majorly under two systems, Nij system and Rayati system. Now, what is Nij system? What is Rayati system? Under Nij system, Britishers cultivated indigo on the land they owned. But under Rayati system, Britishers forced the Indian peasants to cultivate indigo on at least 25% of their land. Correct? I'll give you an example. Suppose if I have 10 bighas of land. Now as a peasant, I am forced to cultivate indigo on at least 2.5 bighas of my land. Correct? So this is nothing but Rayati system. Suppose I don't have money for cultivation of indigo. So here Britishers were also ready to pay or give loans to the peasant, and such loans were referred as Dedon. Okay? Such loans were referred as Dedon. So Britishers forced our people to cultivate indigo under two important systems. Please pay attention. It's a very important one. Two important systems. Nij system. Under Nij system, Nij basically means Niji, private land. They cultivated indigo on the lands that they owned. But under Rayati system, Rayat means Kisan, peasant. They force the peasant to cultivate indigo on at least 25% of their land. In that case, they were also ready to provide loan to the peasants, and the loans were referred as Dadon. Now, the peasants got indebted. Why they got indebted? In that case, who is going to benefit out of commercialized agriculture? Britishers are going to benefit out of this. And our peasants got indebted because they had to pay back the loans to the Britishers. Now, peasants started revolting against the Britishers. And the revolt began from Govindpur village in Nadia district of Bengal. Now, peasant launched, basically it is believed that people attacked the indigo factory, peasants attacked the indigo factory, women were active participants in the movement, and the major role was being played by Digambar Biswas and Vishnu Charan Biswas. They were the leaders of this indigo agitation of Bengal. In fact, the editor of Hindu Patriot newspaper, Harish Chandra Mukherjee, also played a very pivotal role in sensitizing the masses about the plight of the peasants of Bengal. Correct? And this is nothing but indigo agitation of Bengal. There is a play dedicated to indigo agitation of Bengal. And the drama or the play is referred as Neel Darpan. This drama was written by Deen Bandhu Mitra. And the entire episode in the book of history is referred as Indigo Agitation of Bengal. I'll repeat the points again in short. Please pay attention. Here, basically if we see, Britishers forced the people to cultivate indigo at least on 1/4 part of their land. That is 25% of the land. Two systems, Nij system and Rayati system. Apart from this, the leadership base was being provided by Vishnu Charan Biswas and Digambar Biswas. Hindu Patriot newspaper also supported the cause of the peasants. And finally, there is a play dedicated to indigo agitation of Bengal referred as Neel Darpan, written by Deen Bandhu Mitra. Hope so the points are clear, guys. Any query, any question, any sort of doubt, please feel free to ask. Yes, guys. Another important movement related to the peasants is Pabna unrest or East Bengal revolt. Guys, these are not only important from the perspective of mains, they are also very important from the perspective of prelims. While back, I had just given you one simple example that what kind of questions can crop up in the examination. The questions can crop up I gave you an example that Neel Darpan, a play written by Deen Bandhu Mitra, is related to. So it was related to indigo agitation of Bengal. So you can expect questions in the prelims examination from the peasant movements. It is not only important from the mains perspective, but also from the perspective of prelims examination. Okay, guys, so please pay attention carefully and keep down noting important things. Okay, now let's begin with Pabna unrest. Again, the area is Eastern Bengal, particularly Yusuf Shahi Pargana. Now, Pabna, it is located presently in the region of Bangladesh, and it was a part of Yusuf Shahi Pargana. And here, Zamindari system was in force. We have seen the features of Zamindari system, Rayatwari system and Mahalwari system previously. Correct? Now, what is one of the features of Zamindari system? In Zamindari system, Zamindar is acting as an intermediary or a middleman between English East India Company on one side and the peasants on the other side. True? Simple words, this person, Zamindar, he is going to collect the revenue from the peasant, keep his 11% commission and pay 89% of the revenue to the company. Now, Zamindari system is also referred as permanent settlement because for the next 1 decade, for the next 10 years, the tax slab was fixed. Correct? Now, under this system, Britishers were hell-bent on one thing, fixed rate and fixed date. We want this much amount of money on this particular date. If the peasants are unable to pay the money, it is the responsibility of the Zamindar to pay the money. Correct? Now what happened? zamindar used to exploit more money from the peasant apart from the fixed taxes. And in that case, if the peasants are not giving the excess money, what will happen? This person, zamindar, he will seize the lands of the peasant. In that, just as I've told you, Britishers were only interested in one thing. We want this much amount of money on this particular date, either by hook or by crook. We are not interested that how did you collect the money. So zamindar started exploiting the peasants. And this was done in the Pabna region of East Bengal, presently in Bangladesh, Yusuf Shahi Pargana. Now, this zamindar, he went for illegal seizure of the property. He enhanced the rate any time. And finally, the peasants of this region, Pabna, they launched no revenue campaign. We are not going to pay a single penny now. And they had declared their district free of zamindari control. The peasants of Pabna. And the peasants of Pabna were led by Ishan Chandra Roy. I repeat, Ishan Chandra Roy was a leader of Pabna unrest. Finally, there was a British officer whose name was Sir George Campbell. Sir George Campbell, he is also related to famine commissions. Correct? Like there were various famine commissions that came to India, like George Campbell Committee was one among them, Strachey Commission, John Woodhead Commission, Anthony MacDonald Commission. All these are related to famines in India. Correct? So one among them was Sir George Campbell Committee. It was a committee related to famines in India. So Sir George Campbell, he supported the cause of the peasants at that time. And what did he suggest the peasants? Rather than going for violent means, knock the doors of the court. And to knock the doors of the court, you have to go through legal expenses. So what did the peasants of Pabna do? The peasants of Pabna, they went for resource pooling. What is resource pooling? They collected some amount of money from individual peasants so that they can bear the legal expenses involved during the movement. And this in the books of history is referred as Pabna unrest or Pabna peasant movement. So I'll repeat the points again. This movement was majorly in the Yusuf Shahi Pargana region of East Bengal, presently Bangladesh. Particularly, this was a movement against the zamindar because zamindar exploited the peasants a lot. They illegally collected the rents. They seized the property of the peasants. And finally, peasants revolted against the zamindars and Britishers particularly. Now, the leadership base was being provided by Ishan Chandra Roy. So, Ishan Chandra Roy, he was the leader of the revolt. He was also being supported by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, R.C. Dutt, who has written a book called as Economic History of India, and so on. And finally, it is believed that the peasants were also supported by Sir George Campbell. So this in the books of history is referred as Pabna unrest or Pabna revolt. Hope so the points are clear, guys. Any query, any question, any sort of doubt? Like I always keep on saying, guys, since we are moving ahead, we have covered governor generals, we have covered the advent of Europeans in India. We have covered certain aspects of important charter acts, land revenue system. Today we are covering important peasants movement. In the coming sessions, we will be covering the important education commissions, famine commission, revolt of 1857. Correct? So we are going to cover multiple topics. I always suggest one thing. Whenever you are watching the live session, please have a pen and paper along with you, so that you can jot down, you can note down important points. Because this PPT, which you will download from the Telegram, this will be helpful for you from the mains perspective, no doubt in that. But from the prelims perspective, what will happen? These notes will suffice because you will start noting down the important points. True? And I'll tell you one thing. Why I'm telling you to note down important things, there's a reason behind this. Because it becomes quite easier to remember things when somebody is saying. Correct? You will read the movement in the books as well. There are multiple books on modern Indian history. But when somebody is narrating, you are listening to him, and after that you note it down. What will happen? Probability of remembering those things become quite higher. Hence, I usually keep on saying, Apart from the live lecture, please also keep on noting down the important things. Okay, guys? So let's move on. Deccan Riots. As the name suggests, Deccan Riots. It majorly covers the region of Maharashtra. Correct? Now, what is Deccan Riots all about? Let's understand. If you remember, we had studied yesterday Rayatwari system of land revenue. And under Rayatwari system of land revenue, we had observed one thing, that the role of Zamindar got ended directly. How? Now, English East India Company directly collected the revenue from the peasants. There was no intermediary called as Zamindar. And the land was categorized or classified into three major categories. The barren land, which had 40 to 45% as a tax. Average land, which has 50 to 55% as a tax. The fertile land or the productive land, which had 60 to 66% as a tax. Correct? And this system of Rayatwari was introduced in Bombay Presidency by Elphinstone and in Madras Presidency by Thomas Munro and Captain Reeds. Correct? One more important fact that we studied yesterday, that Rayatwari system of land revenue covered the maximum part of British India. It covered 51% of British India. True? Now, suppose I am a peasant. Now, as I have told you, the role of Zamindar, it ended directly. Correct? Indirectly, his role actually came into the fore now. How? Suppose, as a peasant, as a farmer, as a cultivator, I am unable to pay the revenue to the company. Now, what will company do? Company will seize my land. And as a peasant, what will I do if I don't have any land? Because as a cultivator or an agriculturist, my land is everything for me. My land should not get seized, so I will go to the Zamindar, who has now become money lender or sahukar. He has lot of money. Now, what will money lender do? He will give me some loan and he will charge exorbitant interest on the loan given to me. Very high interest rate on the loan that is being given to me. This would be done by this money lender. Now, under Rayatwari system, peasants are dually exploited. How peasants are dually exploited? If the peasant is unable to pay the revenue to the company will seize his land. And if the peasant is unable to pay back the loan along with interest to the money lender, he will seize the land of the peasants. Now, there were many zamindars or there were many lenders who got involved into different fraud practices. Like at that time, the peasants were not that educated. They were not that literate. So what happened? Suppose as a peasant, I have taken a loan for 1 year. I've taken 100 rupees as a loan for 1 year. I'm giving you an example to make you things understand. As a peasant, I have taken a loan of rupees 100 for 1 year and I have to pay this loan within 12 months. Now, for 8 months, I have paid the loan. Now, as I have paid the loan for 8 months, but on the records, Zamindar or the money lender has noted that I have paid loan only for 6 months. So, for 2 months, he is taking extra interest rate. So, what happened? Now, there began a movement from Supa village in Pune. And the peasants from the Supa village in Pune, they started attacking the house of the Zamindars. They started attacking the houses of the money lenders or the sahukars. Their houses were burnt. The bonds or decrees, they were burnt. So movement became quite, specifically if you see, the movement became quite violent. Police help was sought, but police was unable to suppress the revolt. Like it is believed that from the region of Pune, it spread to different parts of Maharashtra, particularly Ahmednagar, Satara, Nasik, and so on. Finally, army help was sought. And then they were able to control the Deccan riots. Hence, I've used the word riots here, rather than saying for Deccan peasant movement. Now, particularly Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, it played a very major role in supporting the plight of the peasants. I repeat, Pune Sarvajanik Sabha played a very major role in supporting the plight of the peasants. Finally, Deccan Agriculturist Relief Act 1879 was passed. And in that case, as per this act, if any peasant is unable to pay the land revenue for that year due to certain reasons like famine or flood, Britishers have no authority to directly take control over the land of the peasants. The peasants need to be given certain amount of what we say time. The time limit needs to be extended for payment of land revenue. And this was Deccan Agriculturist Relief Act 1879, which was post-Deccan riots. Okay. Deccan riots, many historians believe that one of the major causes for Deccan riots was American Civil War. Now the question that crop up in the minds of everyone, how American Civil War is co-linked to the Deccan riots? Correct? I'll come back to the slide. Here I had explained you the cotton, it went to Manchester or Liverpool. From here it went to London, where it was converted into a manufactured textile. The cheap substandard quality textile came to India, and the superior quality of textiles, it went to USA. And due to American Civil War, there was decline, or there was a drastic decline in the cotton textiles from India. And now Britishers had to run the administration. And to run the administration, if there is an American Civil War and America is not ready to buy the cotton textile, where will the money come from? So Britishers said that now we are going to impose heavy taxation on the peasants of the Deccan. So many historians also believe that Deccan riots, one of the major causes was American Civil War. Okay, guys? Hope so the points are clear, guys. Any query, any question, any sort of doubt? Yes, guys, please do ask. Good afternoon, Saujanya. Now let's speak about Champaran Satyagraha, another important one. My first question, who was the leader of Champaran Satyagraha? A very famous personality. Yes, guys, a very famous one. Who was the leader of Champaran Satyagraha? Now, before I go with Champaran Satyagraha, let me go for a quick revision. And rather than going for a quick revision, let me ask you a few questions. I would be asking you 4 questions, guys. Please keep the session interactive. Please try and answer those questions. My first question is, as per Charter Act 1833, Governor General of Bengal was designated as Governor General of India. Who was the first Governor General of India? Yes, guys, 10 seconds to answer. I'll ask you 4 questions. That's it. So, who was the first Governor General of India? Yes. Correct. It's Lord William Bentinck. Yes. Kaizen. In the history, Bengal is an undivided Bengal. Okay. Which includes West Bengal and East Bengal. But majorly West Bengal specifically is presently with India, and East Bengal at that time, like presently, is with Bangladesh. So West Bengal and East Bengal was a part of Bengal presidency itself. So they are one and the same. Okay. Presently East Bengal is Bangladesh. My next question, my second question, very important one. Which Governor General imposed duty on cultivation of opium in the region of Malwa? We had seen this in quite depth and detail. The Governor Generals. Yes, please answer, guys. Again, the answer is Lord William Bentinck. Okay. My third question to you is, Rayatwari system of land revenue came up during the time of which Governor General? Yes. Yes, boggle up your brains, guys. It came up during the time of Lord Hastings. It's Hastings, guys, not Warren Hastings. Both are two different personalities. Lord Hastings. And my last question to you guys, a very simple one. Okay, and the question is like, while explaining, like we have not mentioned this fact in the PPT, but while explaining the certain parts, I have mentioned about revolt of 1857, if you remember, correct? And I've told you there are two revolts, that is Barrackpur Mutiny of 1824 and Vellore Mutiny of 1806, which are precursors to revolt of 1857. So Vellore Mutiny of 1806, it occurred during the tenure of which Governor General? Yes. Yes, guys. Sir George Barlow. Correct? Please keep on revising the concepts, guys. Now coming back to Champaran Satyagraha, the most important one. Now before I begin with Champaran Satyagraha, let me give you a brief background of MK Gandhi, that is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi ji, who we also refer him as Mahatma Gandhi. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, he was born on 2nd October 1869 at a place called as Porbandar in Gujarat. At a very young age, he was married. He had an intention to study law. So to pursue his degree in law, he went to London. He was introduced to Bhagavad Gita for the first time in London. After pursuing his degree in law, he had two major options. Either to register himself at the Bar Council and practice as a lawyer, or to work as a legal advisor for the company of Dada Abdullah or Sheikh Abdullah in South Africa. He decided to work as a legal advisor for the company of Dada Abdullah or Sheikh Abdullah. Now, while going to South Africa, he was given the first class railway compartment ticket. And as soon as he reached a station called as Pietermaritzburg, which is near Durban, it's believed that he was thrown out of the first class railway compartment. Now he met Dada Abdullah or Sheikh Abdullah and inquired, like, this treatment was meted out to me, or is this the condition of every Indian or Asian living in South Africa? Now he came to know that there are different kinds of Asians and Indians living in South Africa. One is indentured laborers. Second one is ex-indentured laborers. Now who are they? These are the laborers who are brought on contract basis in South Africa. They are forced to work on the plantation field, and once their contract is over, they go back to their country. Their condition was very derogatory. Like for example, if I'm working in South Africa, if I have to get a bread from the nearby shop, I had to reveal my identity. I had to carry a passport size of document to reveal my identity. If I have to migrate from one state to the other state, for that sake, suppose if I have to migrate from Transvaal to Natal, the states in South Africa, I had to pay 1.5 to 2 pounds as a tax. And at that time, the salary was 3 pounds or 4 pounds. Suppose I am earning 3 pounds, 2 pounds I am paying as a tax. Correct? Apart from this, you cannot use the footpath that was being used by an Englishman. If you see an Englishman passing by, you had to bow down or kneel down in front of him. That was a derogatory condition of Indians in South Africa. And now, Mahatma Gandhi, he decided to fight for the cause of Indians in South Africa. And he coined the term Satyagraha for the first time in South Africa. In South Africa, he used Passive Resistance Association. He coined the term Satyagraha. Okay, it is also believed that with the help of his friend Herman Kallenbach, he established Tolstoy Farm. It was referred as Tolstoy Farm because he was inspired by Leo Tolstoy and his teachings. He was inspired by a book called as War and Peace of Leo Tolstoy. And now it is believed that in 1910, for the first time, he came back to India. And he came on a ship named as Kildonan Castle. And while coming back to India, within a journey of 10 days, he wrote a book. And the name of the book was Hind Swaraj. Okay. Again, for the second time, he came back in India in 1915. Hence, we celebrate Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. Correct? Now, when Mahatma Gandhi came to India in 1915, his political guru Gopal Krishna Gokhale told him that rather than entering into the mainstream Indian politics, first of all, go through entire India. Analyze the grassroots realities of India. Try and understand the socio-economic, religious realities of India, the political situation in India at that time. And on the insistence of his guru, political guru Gopal Krishna Gokhale ji, Mahatma Gandhi did the same. Finally, in 1917, from the region of Champaran, which is located in northern part of Bihar, there was a peasant whose name was Rajkumar Shukla. He invited Mahatma Gandhi to conduct a satyagraha in Champaran. Now, why did a local peasant named as Rajkumar Shukla ji invited Mahatma Gandhi to conduct a satyagraha in the region of Champaran? That is in Bihar. Okay? Now, there's a reason behind this. What? In the region of Champaran, Britishers had imposed one system, and that system is referred as Teen Kathia system. As per Teen Kathia system, the peasants were forced to cultivate indigo on 3/20th part of their land. Correct? The peasants were forced to cultivate indigo on 3/20th part of their land. For example, I am a peasant. I have 20 bighas of land. I was forced to cultivate indigo on 3 bighas. And this is called as Teen Kathia system. In that case, if you don't want to cultivate the indigo under Teen Kathia system, pay a lump sum compensation. And the lump sum compensation was referred as Tawan. Now the peasants thought that for not doing any cultivation, I have to give a lump sum compensation Tawan. Why shouldn't I adopt Teen Kathia system? But with the passage of time, Britishers started exploiting the peasants more and more. And so now, finally, a local peasant, Rajkumar Shukla, from the region of Champaran, had to invite Mahatma Gandhi to conduct a satyagraha in Champaran. Mahatma Gandhi, he came along with Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Mazhar Ullakh, Mahadev Desai, J.B. Kriplani. And at that time, the district collector of Champaran was Hecock. Hecock initially denied entry of Mahatma Gandhi into Champaran. But later on, Mahatma Gandhi was given entry into Champaran. He met different peasants. He tried to understand and analyze the plight of the peasants. And finally, he conducted a satyagraha, which is referred as Champaran Satyagraha. Britishers were forced to create a committee, Champaran Agrarian Committee, and Mahatma Gandhi was also a member of Champaran Agrarian Committee. And finally, the Teen Kathia system was abolished. And this in the books of history is referred as Champaran Satyagraha. This was the first satyagraha conducted by M.K. Gandhi in India. So hope so the points are clear, guys, about Champaran Satyagraha. Yes, are the points clear? Any query, any doubt? All the things clear, guys? Okay, let's move on with another important satyagraha, Kheda Satyagraha, also referred as Kheda. So, what is Kheda Satyagraha all about? Let's understand. Kheda, it is located in Gujarat. And Kheda was already plagued by different problems. Like, there was already, specifically speaking, there was already different problems like scant resources. Apart from this, people were faced with different problems like alcoholism, British discrimination. And at that time, this region was hit by a famine. And this famine was referred as Chappaniya Akal. Now, what is Chappaniya Akal? It has affected the 56 parts of the district. Okay. Now, under this situation, what should be the ethical or the moral responsibility of the government? The ethical and moral responsibility of the government falls into two major categories here. One is mitigation and second is rehabilitation. Now, what is mitigation? Mitigation means the famine has impacted many peasants and it is ethical responsibility of the government to work for the plight of the peasants now. True? Correct? So it is a responsibility to mitigate the peasants, to take the to make the peasants come out of the situation. And many peasants' livelihood has been disturbed. So we have to rehabilitate them. So mitigation and rehabilitation is a responsibility of the government. But what did the government do in the situation? The government actually increased the taxes by 23%. Due to Chhappani Akal, due to famine, the peasants are unable to pay the main tax. How will they pay the additional tax of 23%? Is it ethically and morally viable? So it is believed that there was a young leader whose name was Vallabhbhai Patel ji. Now I have not used the word Sardar. Why? Because Vallabhbhai Patel ji, he was given the title of Sardar in 1928 by the women of Bardoli during Bardoli Satyagraha. Okay? So Vallabhbhai Patel ji, he organized all the peasants. And after organizing the peasants, like it is believed that he organized no revenue campaign. And he was supported by many other leaders such as Ravi Shankar Vyas, Narhari Parikh and so on. Mohanlal Pandya. Now, what did the Britishers do? If the peasants are not paying the additional 23% of the revenue, their lands would be forfeited. Their lands would be seized. So here, Vallabhbhai Patel, along with Mahatma Gandhi, they launched no revenue campaign. In fact, the Gujarat Sabha of Mahatma Gandhi provided the moral support to the peasants of the Kheda. Finally, what did Britishers do? Finally, the additional 23% tax was abolished. Forget about abolishing the entire 23%. The taxes for this year and the taxes for next year was abolished completely. And this episodic event in the books of history is referred as Kheda Satyagraha. So it occurred in 1918 and the leader for Kheda Satyagraha was Mahatma Gandhi and Vallabhbhai Patel ji. Points are clear, guys? Hope so the points are clear, guys. Eka movement. Just remember one thing, Eka movement. Like this movement came up very fast in 1921 and it fizzled out very easily. Why? Because Eka movement was just confined to a small region. Like it was confined to Hardoi, Bahraich and Sitapur. And the leader of the movement was Madari Pasi. Now what was the major reason? 50% higher than the recorded rents. Rents were very high or the land revenue was exorbitant. Correct? Atrocities by the zamindar or the thekedar, the practice of the share rent. Now what did the peasants wanted? Now peasants said that we will only pay the recorded rent. As I have told you the example in Pabna and rest. What example did we study? Like in the region of Pabna, the zamindars forced the peasants to pay extra revenue. And if the peasants are not paying the extra revenue, their lands would be seized by the zamindar. Correct? So here, zamindar was using their muscle and manpower. Correct? So here, pay only the recorded rents. Whatever rent that has been decided, pay only that rent. Do not pay excess money. Refuse to do forced labor, begari. Now, zamindars not only collected extra revenue from the peasants, these zamindars also forced the peasants to work on their land. Forced labor. And finally, abide by the panchayat decision. Whatever decision has been taken in the panchayat, stick to that decision. So the leader of the movement was what? Madari Pasi. It is also believed that Indian National Congress supported Eka movement. The leaders of Khilafat movement also supported Eka movement. In the coming sessions, we'll understand what is Khilafat movement all about. Clear, Eka movement? This is also referred as unity movement. Hope so the points are clear, guys. Now, let's understand Mapila Revolt or Mopla Revolt or Malabar Rebellion. Now, let's understand why this movement, because in many historical texts, because when you read books, you'll come to know that Mopla Revolt is also referred an extended version of Khilafat movement. Okay, how a movement which is confined with peasant and zamindari issue, it got a communal overtone. And this movement became an issue between Hindus and Muslims. How? Let's understand. What's Mopla Rebellion all about? Now, Moplas are the peasants of particularly region of the Kerala. Now, Moplas are Muslim peasants. Now, in certain parts of Kerala, there was also zamindari system. Certain parts, I'm not saying all the parts. Now, what happened? As we had discussed earlier, what is zamindar in zamindari system? Zamindar is going to act as a middleman between company and peasant on the other side. He'll collect the revenue from the peasant, keep his 11% commission and give the excess amount 89% to the company. Now, what was a major problem here? Zamindar used to exploit the peasant to collect excess revenue. Now, one of the major problem here was zamindars majorly were Hindus and peasants majorly were Muslims. What is the actual fight for? The actual fight is between zamindar and the peasant. But later on, this movement was given a communal overtone. It became a fight between Hindus and the Muslims. Why? Because zamindar was a Hindu and a peasant was a Muslim. Correct? So here, what happened? Peasants, they started attacking zamindars. Now specifically, the movement became quite violent. Malabar Special Police, a separate battalion had to be created. And finally, it's believed that the entire region was engulfed in violence. Mahatma Gandhi, Maulana Azad, Shaukat Ali, they had to address the Mopla peasants here in this region. And this in the book of history is referred as Mopla Rebellion or Mapila Revolt. And the movement was led by Kunja Ahmad Haji and Ali Musliar. Many believe that Mopla Rebellion was an extended version of Khilafat movement. Now, what is Khilafat movement all about? I'll give you a short hint about this. Now, listen to me carefully. In the very start of the session, from the very first lecture, I have told you one thing. Britishers have always followed two major policies in India: divide and rule and carrot and stick policy. In 1905, Lord Curzon, the Viceroy of India, divided Bengal on what pretext? He said that Bengal has become too big to be administered by a single Viceroy. So for administrative ease and convenience, I am dividing Bengal into two parts: West Bengal and East Bengal. West Bengal, it's a Hindu majority province. East Bengal is a Muslim majority province. What was the actual hidden agenda or intention of the Britishers? To divide Bengal on communal lines and disturb the Hindu-Muslim unity. That was the agenda of the Britishers at that time. Now, what happened? Against the partition of Bengal, particularly seeing, it is believed that Swadeshi movement was launched. And the call for Swadeshi movement was taken at Bararas session of Indian National Congress in 1905, which was presided by Gopal Krishna Gokhale ji. Now, Hindu-Muslim unity was very intact. Now, what did Britishers do? Now, Britishers tried to attract or lure certain section of the Muslim by saying that why there is economic development of Hindus? Because there is a port in the region of Calcutta. Why there is, apart from the social development of Hindus? Because there is a university in Calcutta. If you support the partition of Bengal, we will create a residential university in Dhaka. Apart from this, we'll create another port called as Chittagong port. So in 1906, All India Muslim Educational Conference was called at Dhaka, and it was attended by Aga Khan, Nawab Moshin ul Mulk, Nawab Salimullah of Dhaka. And taking this as an opportunity, Aga Khan created a party, a political party, All India Muslim League. Initially, All India Muslim League were pro-Britishers. They maintained providential mission theory. And what is that? If we remain loyal to the Britishers, some or the other day, they are going to repay back for our loyalty. Now, finally, All India Muslims League's dreams were thwarted. How? Because in 1911, the capital was transferred from Calcutta to Delhi. And now there were certain sections, or there were certain young elements or young leaders within Muslim League who felt that what did we gain by maintaining loyalty towards Britishers for years? Correct? These members are referred as young party leaders within Muslim League. Now finally, in 1914, there began World War I. And in World War I, Britain was on opposite side of Turkey. Correct? Turkey, it's an Islamic nation. It was being ruled by Ottoman Emperor. And the Ottoman Emperor was referred as Caliph. Now, World War I ended around 1919, and after that, there was a harsh treaty that was being signed. That is referred as Treaty of Versailles and Treaty of Sevres. As per the treaty, the entire Turkey, all the Muslim symbols were destroyed. The Caliph was removed from his position and a democratic government was imposed in Turkey. This hurted the sentiments of Muslims across the world, and particularly the Muslims in India. And so now Muslims started Khilafat movement, and the Congress leaders also supported the Britishers in Khilafat movement. The Congress leaders also supported the Muslim leaders in Khilafat movement against the Britishers. Correct? So hence Mopla rebellion is also referred as extended version of Khilafat movement. Why? Because Mopla rebellion was not only against the Zamindar who were Hindus, but also against the Britishers. And this entire episode is referred as Mopla rebellion or Mopla revolt, whose leaders were Kunja Ahmad Haji and Ali Musliar. Clear, guys? Any question, any query, any doubt? Please let me know. Pawan, you have a question. What is Caliph? Caliph is a Khalifa. He is the religious as well as temporal head of the Muslims. Correct? Like, I'll give you a small example. Prophet Muhammad. After the death of Prophet Muhammad, there were many who were referred as proponents of Islam. And they propagated the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. And such people were referred as Caliph. Hope so, Pawan, the point is clear? Okay. Yes, Mr. Local, good afternoon. Now let's understand about another important satyagraha, Bardoli Satyagraha. Now what is Bardoli Satyagraha all about? The leader for Bardoli Satyagraha again was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, because as I've told you previously, in Bardoli, Vallabhbhai Patel ji was given the designation or title of Sardar by women of Bardoli. Okay. It took place in 1928. Bardoli, it's a taluka in Gujarat. Now, Bardoli was continuously hit by famines and floods. As discussed earlier, what is the prime responsibility or ethical or moral responsibility of the government here? Mitigation and rehabilitation. Correct? But in this situation also, government increased the taxes by 22%. In Khera Satyagraha, the taxes was increased by 23%. Now, Vallabhbhai Patel, he launched 13 chhavnis or camp. The work that needs to be done by the government is done by Vallabhbhai Patel ji here. He has established 13 chhavnis or the camps for welfare of the peasants. And the prime responsibility of the chhavnis or the camp was basically to work for the peasants. Finally, the Bardoli peasants organized no revenue campaign. Mahatma Gandhi also supported the cause of Vallabhbhai Patel ji. Okay, the volunteers came from every section of the Indian society. Hindu-Muslim unity was maintained. Women actively participated in Bardoli Satyagraha. Finally, Maxwell-Broomfield Commission was created. And Maxwell-Broomfield Commission, they said that taxes won't be increased by 22%. Taxes will only be increased by 6.03%. Okay. Many books also say that the taxes were increased by 30%. It is not 30% majorly, it is only 22%. Okay. So now on the recommendations of the Maxwell-Broomfield Commission, taxes were not increased by 22%. The taxes were increased by 6.03%. And this is referred as Bardoli Satyagraha. Okay guys, now please, now Young India magazine of Mahatma Gandhi played a very major role in sensitizing the masses. Now please do not get confused. One more important fact, K.M. Munshi and Lalji Narenji, they resigned from Bombay Legislative Council as a protest sign for supporting the cause of the peasants. Getting the points? Now, please do not get confused between Kheda Satyagraha and Bardoli Satyagraha. Kheda and Bardoli both took place in Gujarat. In Kheda, the taxes were increased by 23%, and in Bardoli, the taxes were increased by 22%. Leaders of both the movements were Vallabhbhai Patel ji and Mahatma Gandhi. But in Kheda Satyagraha, the peasants were freed from paying the taxes for the current year and the next year. But in Bardoli Satyagraha, taxes were not increased by 22%, they were increased by 6.03%. Correct? So basically, this is majorly about the peasant movement. I am giving you one simple homework. Please let me know tomorrow what is Tebhaga movement all about, which took place around 1945, 46, 47. So what is Tebhaga movement all about? What is Bhagardari system? What is Jyotidari system? It's an homework, or please pin in the comment box. One more important fact. All India Kisan Sabha, and the credit for creation of All India Kisan Sabha, which actually was organized in 1936 in Lucknow, goes to Swami Sahajanand Saraswati. Swami Sahajanand Saraswati was president of All India Kisan Sabha, and N.G. Ranga was the secretary to All India Kisan Sabha. In fact, Bihar Provincial Kisan Sabha of 1929 is also credited to Swami Sahajanand Saraswati. So please remember, All India Kisan Sabha was organized in 1936 under the leadership of Swami Sahajanand Saraswati, who is also credited with creation of Bihar Provincial Kisan Sabha, and N.G. Ranga, who was the secretary to Kisan Sabha. Hope the peasant movement is clear, guys. If you have any query, any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. Okay. Yesterday, a student had a question, Lokesh Babluji, and the question was like, sir, what kind of land revenue system is prevalent today? Now, after the Britishers, basically it is believed that Zamindari system, Rayatwari system and Mahalwari system was abolished. Okay. So, presently the land revenue system is directly collecting the revenue or the taxes from the peasant. That is there prevalent in India. But Zamindari system was abolished after the Britishers. So, Lokesh ji, you had a question yesterday. I am answering this question. Okay. One more information, guys. Sampoorna batch, it is going to begin on 7th of March 2025 at 6 p.m. sharp. It has wonderful features like Prelims and Mains Residential Program, which is a key part of the Sampoorna batch, wherein selected candidates would be allowed to come in Delhi and stay in the premises of StudyIQ, which is one of the best initiative taken by StudyIQ. Apart from this, full refund of the fees after clearing the prelims examination. 11,000 monthly rewards to the top 10 performers and interview guidance program. Please do avail the benefits by using the code ALOK Live, which is flashing on your screen. Apart from this, guys, the batch is going to start on 7th March. Okay, please use the code, and please register as fast as possible. Hope so the session was interesting. Hope so you got to learn something new. Please keep on revising the concepts as I've told you during the live sessions. Please keep on noting down the important points. Apart from this, you can also download the PDF from the Telegram channel history_Alok Ojha. I'll stop my words, guys. Thank you and have a wonderful day.